Breakthrough in negotiations to reopen Porgera Gold Mine. Better deal for coffee farmers in Finschhafen. And PNG records more than 7,000 COVID cases.
This is National EMTV News with Shemaine Poriambep.
Hello, this is Monday's news. Prime Minister James Marape today announced that the government is poised to sign an agreement with Barrick Gold for reopening of the Porgera Gold Mine in Enga. The announcement comes after a breakthrough in negotiations by the state and Barrick, describing it as a far superior deal than the past. This comes 12 months after its closure last April.
After months of tussle in the courts and negotiations behind closed doors, Prime Minister James Marape made the announcement today. He described the new agreement as a superior deal never reached in the past 31 years. The PM says this deal will see landowners and the Enga provincial government getting better cut while the balance of equity to Kumul Mineral Holdings. He described the new agreement a way forward to one of PNG's long-serving mine. The Prime Minister says the government remains focused and emphasized on the principle of Take Back PNG, which the deal is based upon. PM Marape dispelled rumors of questions raised against the capacity of Kumul Mineral, stating the entity has sufficient ability to operate. While commercial negotiations are to be reached, the Prime Minister says Barrick has opened its arms to work with the government and other stakeholders. Meanwhile, Barrick has agreed with the state on an exit option in the Porgera agreement 10 years from now. Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
20 provinces out of 22 have contracted and reported COVID-19 cases. Deputy Incident Manageress Dr. Melinda Susapu stated that 257 new cases were identified in the last 24 hours. Dr. Susapu says 2 more hotspot provinces have also been recorded.
With the country into its second week of isolation and additional control measures laid down, COVID-19 cases continue to climb on a daily basis. NCD and 3 other provinces continue to report more new cases every day. This follows continuous COVID testing around the country.
So in the last 24 hours, we've recorded new cases of 257 from 4 main provinces, which NCD is 1, recording 60 new cases, Western Province recording 219 cases, and East Sepik and Southern Highlands at 11 each in the last 24 hours. Our total cumulative stands at 6,857 out of 67,741 tests.
While the stats continue to climb, more provinces in the country record new cases. Dr. Susapu says 2 new provinces have become COVID hotspots in the last 48 hours, a record depicting provinces from all regions in the country.
Our main hotspot provinces at this time has increased to add 2 more provinces. So we had Western Province, National Capital District, Morobe, Eastern Highlands, West Sepik, West New Britain, and East New Britain as the hotspot provinces in the country, with over 200 cumulative cases of COVID-19.
Today, the National Capital District has recorded 49 COVID-19 deaths, while West Sepik recorded 3 deaths. West New Britain, Western Highlands and Western Provinces 2 deaths each, whilst Enga Province, Jiwaka and Morobe recorded 8 deaths each, totaling to 61 deaths.
Out of all our provinces, we still have 2 provinces that have not reported positive cases so far. So we have 20 out of 22 provinces with reported cases of COVID-19.
Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Dr. Susapu says the vaccine rollout is a preventative measure against COVID-19. The incident manager says with community transmission on high, masks must be worn properly, including sanitizing of hands and keep social distancing. Dr. Susapu urged all to ensure the nuclear passing is practiced by the general public.
Despite vaccination, so washing of hands or hand sanitization is still a key here that we encourage everyone to be practicing, especially after coming in contact with people or surfaces. Correct wearing of the mask is being encouraged, especially when in presence of others. So when we say correct wearing of the mask, what we mean is that the mask has to cover your nose and mouth. You need to correctly wear the mask so that it actually prevents transmission of the virus. So when we are not correctly wearing the mask, then we expose ourselves to the virus.
You're watching National EMTV News. More stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Getting 1 kina 50 toya and 2 kina for a kilo of coffee will be a thing of the past as the national government's price support and agriculture intervention program reaches the Hubei people of Finschhafen district in Morobe province. Easter came with good news as they were not only redeemed from their sins through the death and resurrection of Christ, but also their struggles as they continue to rebuild their lives after a nasty tribal conflict in 2015. Hubei LLG is in inland Finschhafen district. While the environment is conducive for coffee farming, people lack the basic tools to support them. This is coupled with transport accessibility predicaments in and out of Pindu station and to Leyte, the capital city. While a few have picked up what is left of their tools and returned to the plantations, the majority has simply given up, paying attention to their daily needs of food only. Agriculture Minister John Simon, in a recent visit to Pindu Station, says to get farmers back into commodity farming, they must be given what they rightfully deserve, and that is the maximum benefit as the owners of the coffee trees. Because of this, he gave the people of Hubei the good news they have been waiting for years, increasing the buying price of a kilo of coffee. They will now start to sell their coffee for 5 kina per kilo. Coffee is bought at 1 kina 50 and 2 kina per kilo in this part of the country. The new buying price will take effect once a buying point is set up at Pindu Station. The farmers were also presented with coffee pulping machines. Minister John Simon believes farmers have lost interest because of low buying price and transport cost in some of the most geographical challenging parts of the country. He said the Morobe government now wants to change that and ensure farmers get direct and maximum benefit. Similar arrangement of the price support and agriculture intervention program have also been promoted in other parts of the country. Each province has its own budget under the program, with the commodity boards in charge of facilitating the price support program, while respective agriculture agencies such as the Livestock Development Corporation and the Fresh Produce Development Corporation with other agriculture incentives in their own sectors. Octedi Mining Limited, or OTML, has appointed several of its national employees to leadership positions within its organization as part of its vision to develop national leaders. The appointments are in line with the company's Vision 2025. A key part of the vision is to nationalize all its senior and executive management roles by 2025, and these appointments will position the company to meet this target. Among the 6 nationals that have been appointed is Isaac Kwetok, a trained chemist who is now the Deputy General Manager for Processing. Also appointed are 2 female leaders, Hilary Turnamur, who assumes the role of manager, process operations, and Beverly Parson to finance manager. The other appointments include David Laulau, who has assumed the role of manager, mine technical services, Ruben Lapin as manager business continuity, and Dexter Wagambi as manager Kiunga operations. A business entrepreneur is calling on authorities like police and immigration to investigate an Australian businesswoman. Paul Pondo says she was involved in a gold refinery project between Mr. Pondo and a Japanese investor. The Japanese investor died at his apartment after a trip to Missima.
Mr. Pondo hails from Enga province, a businessman who intends to build a gold refinery in the country. He made contacts to Australia and was linked to Australian counterpart Susan Emilia Snokes. Mr. Pondo says Susan is in hiding following the death of a Japanese investor.
Mi kirap na to kasi mi ulo ring na himno answer phone. Then mi to misana blockade ya mi to kasi. Misana blockade to you answer phone blomen. Em answer now na kirap na to. Also man. Namito aki am alright em to kasi. Em alright em to kasi. Em stop alright. Okay. Nam security to me em kiaman. Em no alright. Em ita na ul karin body companies da pinromi kisim companies. Em to kasi.
Mr. Pondo has reported his concerns to NCD police, but no arrest has been made. He says the actions by Susan Snokes is highly suspicious despite being a foreigner. He also alleged that Snokes has been using phones, laptop, including bank cards belonging to the Japanese investor.
Mi paini mo desla Mary, Emilia, Susan, Emi Australian government only been banned for life. One blood tough criminal Mary, long Australia. Mino savena miximum. Then come back na bagarabi milo again.
Mr. Pondo told MTV News he has suffered with this turn of events, with over $500,000 of assets gone missing, including a latest VX brand. Pondo is questioning why authorities in the country are reluctant to get hold of this individual and question the laws applied in such instances.
Why am I working this like something? I'm bagarabi mina, family plomi. I'm outside Mary making na me work long. Ting long country yet long mi plan ko na natla line or work long or police long local policeman long inablo helping me long and inablo all in the singadum me one time Maria long go long police station question me plan one time what is happening now this la kain him no in working all work lo protecting him around now.
Jack Power Jr. National MTV News.
Trucker Sports is next. All the details after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Port Moresby Rugby Football League is waiting for all affiliated clubs to meet all necessary requirements of affiliation to the league in order for them to take part in the annual general meeting. The AGM will also feature the election of the chairmanship currently held by Dr. James Naipao.
The Port Moresby Rugby Football League is set for their annual general meeting, which is also an election year for the chairman of the league.
This AGM is definitely the election AGM for the elections of the board that has been outstanding for a while now. And the current board is ready to go into election.
But the election is subject to the 14th club readiness if they meet all requirements to vote in the election AGM.
Except as we have been using this technical excuse, which has caused all these continuous deferrals. That is the club's readiness, qualification and meeting the eligibility.
Administrator of the Port Moresby Rugby Football League, Meke Maino, says there are some candidates for the chairman's post that have shown interest.
One is obvious, he's gone out to the media expressing his interest to contest the presidency post. And he very, very expressly stated that he is not contesting against the current chairman. He is contesting the post, but not against the current chairman.
The election AGM is not yet scheduled but is dependent on the club's eligibility to take part. But it will take place this year.
Current board, particularly Chairman Dr. Naipao, says we will not go by nomination forms, we will not go by nomination dates. Once the clubs have qualified, if we could have 14 qualified clubs or eligible clubs, would be good. Then we call the AGM date, we go in after the AGM business, football business, we call for nominations on the floor, so everybody will witness the nominations and we'll go by show of hands, so everybody will see the votes.
Fidelis Sukina, Trukai Sports.
And that story wraps up Trukai Sports. The weather report next and police report on a peaceful Easter weekend. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports. This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
Weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, Port Moresby, chance of a brief evening thunderstorm, then mostly fine tonight and tomorrow. In Popondetta, mostly fine. Kerema, mostly fine, with chance of a shower or two tonight. Daru, mostly fine, partly cloudy. And Alotau, fine. In the Momasa region, Lae and Madang, mostly fine, apart from a shower or two tonight. Wewak and Vanimo becoming cloudy, with chances of overnight showers. In the New Guinea Islands, Lorengau and Kavieng, cloudy periods with chance of overnight shower or two. Kokopo and Rabaul, mostly fine, apart from possible shower or two tonight. Kimbe and Buka, cloudy periods with chance of few shower tonight. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, chance of evening shower or two, and then morning fog. Gorka and Kundiawa, cloudy periods with chance of few showers tonight, then morning fog. Mendi and Wabeg, mostly fine, partly cloudy tonight, then morning fog. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait to Daru to Kiwai Islands to Kerema to Yule Island to Hood Point to the Samurai Islands, with waters of Samurai Islands to Cape Vogel and eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, with waters north of Cape Vogel to Huon Gulf to Finschhafen, with waters of Finschhafen through Vitius Dampier Straits to CRC Long Islands, with waters north of Long Island to Madang to Wewak to Aitape to Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, and with waters of New Island and Bougainville seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, and with waters of East and West New Britain seas 0.5 to 1 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas. The Coral Seas moderate with northeast winds of 10 to 20 knots. The Solomon Seas slight with southeast winds of 10 to 15 knots. Bismarck Seas smooth to slight with northwest winds of 10 to 15 knots. And the Pacific Ocean slight with northeast winds of 10 to 15 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
Before we end the news, a peaceful Easter in the nation's capital compared to previous years. Assistant Police Commissioner NCDN Central Command Anthony Wagambi Jr. attributed this to the COVID-19 restrictions and liquor ban. The liquor ban for bottle shops as per the pandemic controllers measures has seen a quiet, long Easter weekend. Assistant Police Commissioner, NCD and Central Command, Anthony Wagambi Jr. said reports received for both Central and NCD Command was that it has been generally quiet. Of course, there were a few incidences, especially in the settlement area, but were easily contained. This has significantly made a difference in policing the long weekend. Parties and drink-ups were rare, with many attending church-organized activities. Meanwhile, Commander Wagambi acknowledged a collaborated effort by government agencies in NCD to enforce COVID restrictions in the city. He said, unlike the first lockdown, the arrangements today to police the streets of Port Moresby has been well organized and has not stretched out the police force and its responsibilities. For the NCD operations, the Metropolitan Superintendent has deployed a team to work alongside NCDC, the military, and Road Transport Authority. The rest of the police, apart from the team with NCDC, are on business as usual. With COVID-19 effects on the economy, there has been a marginal increase in criminal activities. Wagambi commends the team for a job well done so far. And that's the news, sports and weather for Monday, the 5th of April 2021. Pleasant viewing. Be safe. Bye for now.